play a blender on Thursday and all of a sudden, right, you must be exhausted or something. I just didn't get it. And I don't think, I don't think Solution's a bad keeper, but when you got a guy like Gordon performing the way he's performing and getting better every game, why bench him?
I think it's just another one on the list of what Ronnie Dyer is up to, if he actually has got a clue what he's doing, which I'm severely doubting. I don't want to be all this negative. I want to give the guy time. But, I mean, Motherwell should be raging that they weren't winning 3-0 at half-time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the sitter that John Sutton missed after he scored a belter. And by the way, see for their goal, what was Anthony Stokes doing in the left-back position? Yeah. You're just saying to yourself, that team just doesn't know what they're doing. So they get a goal. First of all, there was a guy, somebody had a shot earlier on, and it was with his right foot, saying he's all left-footed. He's had it by the post. Then they've scored. Then they've had a Stonewall penalty denied when Denier put his hands up and handballed it. And the shot was gone goal-bound. And Denier, by the rule of the law, he's put his hands up to defend. And it's hit his hand and he's not gave it. I thought it was a Stonewall penalty. And then Sutton has missed that absolute dolly chance in the 6-yarder. So you're saying to yourself, this is an absolute disaster. I think we had one chance with Van Dijk in the first half, a header, and then another one near the end. Then you're looking at, we got a penalty that wasn't a penalty.
Yeah.
Although I think before that, we should have had a penalty. They done a handball and I think the ref bottled it because they didn't give them the penalty. Did you see that one, Paul? I think they had a penalty just
it wasn't even featured on sports. They had a big rant on sports about penalties. That was the most blatant one of all. They never even showed it.
I've not seen the highlights yet. But it's just, honestly, he's got Chris Commons and Scott Brown, our two best players, are sitting on the bench. I mean, is this team proved? Is this team winning every week that you start to rest folk? I mean, that's unbelievable. You've got your two best players sitting on that bench, and I don't know what he's up to. Ambrose at fullback again. That's every game he's played at fullback. The guy couldn't cross the road.
Oh man, I mean, it was only yesterday. I know I've kind of Harper said it a few times, and I kind of haven't really paid much attention to Ambrose, but Jesus Christ. I mean, he just looks completely hopeless out there. I mean, he's not necessarily that kind of footballer. Like, he's not going to dribble past four or five players, like a player or two, and cross the ball in. One, he can't cross, and two, he can't dribble.
And that... So then as well, he's playing... So you're playing Ambrose, say you're playing a flat back four with no attacking wing backs. Azagiri's in, because Azagiri's good at it, going forward.
Yeah.
But you're playing with Ambrose, and then you're playing with a winger as well. How many times have we spoke about this? If you're playing with attacking fullbacks, what do you need wingers for? So yeah. Tony, if he looks as if he's a waste of space already.
Right. I mean, he just doesn't seem to be with it at all. I mean, what?
It's fucking abominable. Nobody knows what they're doing.
I mean, to me, I think we went through a summary of this, try to blame Lennon for everything, and we're delighted he went and all that kind of thing. We've already forgotten as supporters that we basically, when we got lost to Aberdeen, which was the only league defeat of the season last season, we basically obliterated the league. We're 5 and 6 almost every single week against everybody else in the league. We've come into a new season with a new manager. We've had at least 5-6 performances that have been utterly appalling. We've won one win in the last 7 games, and people are saying, you've got to give them time, you've got to give them that. The fans are nae daft. The crowds are dropping and they're going down. There's no positivity about the club there. As Jason says, nobody knows what team it's got to be from one day to the next. The players don't seem to have a clue what they're doing. You mentioned the guy Tonev. He was absolutely dreadful on Sunday. We all saw that. He gets pulled at half time. And then Ronnie Dyer comes out and says, well, he isn't fit, so you can't really judge him. So what's he playing for then?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's one thing after the other. And the fans are nae daft. You know what I mean? It's like fans are all very informed. They know football. And they're not going to put up with this. And the chat that started to happen around me about 10 minutes ago is, we'll probably get beat on Wednesday for Hearts. If they're up for it, we'll probably get beat. And that's unbelievable to think that already people are basically saying that a lower league team will come to Celtic Park and knock us out the cup. And nobody's going into that game with any confidence. And Ronnie Dyer has to take the responsibility for that because, I'm fully behind him. I thought I said at the time, I thought it was a ballsy appointment, etc. But every time the man opens his mouth, I just think, you didn't have any idea what you're doing. And I've got a good friend in Norway who's been asking all the time, Dyer, and she was absolutely flabbergasted when we got Ronnie Dyler as manager. She's just like, what? You know, how is this even possible? The other thing I want to say about his style of play is that we were told we were coming, he's going to play this brilliant brand of football, fill the stadium again, etc. He's built a team, Strom Godset, which are a really tiny team in Norway, and he's looked at it and said, I need to take out through 2 or 3 of the big hitters in Norway to do it. So he's implemented a high pressing game to stop these teams, the Rosenborgs and that playing, and they've done that effectively, and the other players won them games. Let me ask you guys and anybody else listening, who the hell do we need to stop playing in this league? We are Celtic. We should just be going out obliterating teams. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be sitting there going, right, we need to press the ball every time so-and-so gets it. No, we didn't. We just need to get our good players on the ball and fucking play. Simple as that. But instead, it's like, when their centre-half gets the ball, Stokes say, you've got to run your arse off doing that. And that's why guys like Griffiths are in the team. Because, Griffiths is doing enough work on it. Aye, he might not do enough work on pressing centre-half. What he does is put the ball in the net. But we're happy to put him to fucking hang me. And we've signed 2 guys, Guidetti and Skepovic. You can already tell that they are no natural goal scorers. Mm-hmm. You know, they work, etc. And I'm sorry, but Skepovic, we've paid good money for him. He might not be fit, etc. The chance he missed at the end of the game was a fucking joke. For a player of that quality and that price tag to miss a fucking heater for 5 yards and put it straight at the goalie. And this is all down to what Ronnie Dyler saying. It's like, we are Celtic. Just lay the team out, play 3-5-2, do what Martin O'Neill done. And people say, Martin O'Neill had better players. Aye, but he also was up against a lot better players as well. And he fucking obliterated the league. And that's what fans are want to see. They didn't want to see this fucking, we'll play safe and we'll fucking have 3 across the thing and you run here and you run this and Johansson, you have to run up and press the centre half. Just get out and fucking play.
Do you think it's a case of maybe Dyla isn't the kind of guy that plays the player's strengths, or more he expects them to adapt his way of playing rather than, find what they're good at?
I just think, Joe, that fucking he's a manager who had to climb a mountain, and when you're a Celtic manager, you didn't need to do that, especially now. You know what I mean? We didn't even have a rival in the league. We should be walking away, and the very least he's saying, after the champion, we've got a treble to go for, and Peter Lawson, we've got a treble to go for. Well, that starts on Wednesday. And nobody's really confident. You're playing against a Hearts team who are flying at the minute. They're bringing a huge support through. And then every single Hearts fan say to me and say, oh, God, we fancy our chance in that. And I'm sitting there going, Christ, I can't say much back to this. And as you say, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if we'll touch on it later, but I, for the life of me, cannot understand why they're letting Griffiths go to Hibs when you've got 2 strikers that we didn't even know if they're going to score goals, none of which have scored a goal yet. Mm-hmm. You've got Chris Commons, who, face it, the manager doesn't fancy that much because he's dropped him 2 or 3 times, scored 32 goals last season. If Commons was to get injured, who's actually got to score our goals this season? You know what I mean? I say it in the show every single week. Any team is as good as the strikers. Who's going to put the ball in the net for us? And we've actually got to a position now where Scott Brown is absolutely vital. This team cannot tick without Scott Brown in it. Yep. It's a testament to Scott Brown, but it's also the fact that where's the rest of them standing up?
But not only the thing about putting the ball in the net with Griffiths, the one thing that was lacking on yesterday was anybody having a fucking dig.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know what I mean? There's still this sort of faffing and pansying around outside the box. And the thing that kept annoying me was, back to Ambrose, see when the ball was out right and he had pushed up a bit, it becomes this bottleneck. There's him, there's McGregor, you know what I mean? There's anybody else that kind of wants to come into that area. And the one person who can't do anything with the ball is fucking Ambrose, right?
I always think, Joe, that when the guy might not be sure of what he's doing is, come in with a grand plan. We're going to play this style. We're going to fucking control the game against Barcelona. I don't mind everybody else. 10 minutes ago, we need a goal. What would we do? Punt the ball up long. That's not good enough. You've got McManus here. We've watched him for years. An average defender who can heed the ball. That's all he can do. He can heed the fucking ball. Fucking just stand there all day, heeding it away. Guys like that, you play around him. You put Commons and Stokes around him, Griffiths around him, they'll tear him to pieces. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we're punting the ball along. And worst of all, I don't think many fans actually believed we would actually get a win yesterday. We got bailed out with a fucking penalty. It was never a fucking penalty as far as I'm concerned. And, either if you hadn't get that, you'd probably have lost the game. And you're sitting there going, hold it a minute here. That's Dross against Motherwell, Dross against Dundee, fucking Dross against Inverness, fucking Dross against Johnston, and we've managed to get a couple of goals. So you basically had one good fucking game this season. Even the Aberdeen game, 2-0 up, cruising, we lose one goal, we look like we're going to collapse. Yeah. And it just, it just doesn't feel, and it's just like, if anybody was actually maybe to put a challenge into us in this league, would we be actually confident of being able to hold it off?
Well, it just seems like we're looking at a mishmash of players. Like, it doesn't seem like anybody out there, like, not in respect that they don't seem to look like an actual team, but they don't look like players you would naturally put together either. I mean, the likes of Brown and Griffiths, the one thing they're going to bring into that team if they come in is drive and speed, right?
Yeah.
They're both quite fast, and that was the one thing that was fucking crying out for yesterday. Get somebody in there who's going to fucking light a fire under their arse. Scott Brown, come on, did that. If you have to throw someone in, like Griffiths in there, he's going to take a pop from 25 yards, 20 yards. If he sees an opening, he'd have a dig. And that's the one thing that was frustrating me fucking so badly yesterday. Like, I want just somebody fucking just carve a bit of space and have a dig.
And the guys who are getting a most abuse are Johansson and Beaton and Kyle. And nobody's looking at the fact that we're only playing two centre midfield players. And so effectively, and everybody else in the league plays with three. So they're just getting, you saw it with Bayern Munich against Man City. Yaya Toure, fantastic player. Bayern was like, fuck's sake, what do we do? So they just put three men around him and they played the ball around him and made him completely ineffective. And that is exactly what teams are doing to us. They're lining up with three and they're saying, play the ball around Brown and Johansson, knowing full well Brown kind of last 90 minutes right now, and Johansson's effectively doing the job with three, or Beaton or Kyle. That's basics. Everybody in this fucking league, And the other thing that's getting my goat, and I know it's getting a goat to a lot of people, is when the fuck did it become acceptable for Celtic to play one up front at home against Motherwell?
Honestly. Because, you're right. That's exactly what he had there. Because he's not playing Stokes as a striker. Stokes is all over the park. So you're just looking at that and you're saying to yourself, bloody hell, he's playing that Guidetti up front himself, and Stokes is whatever he's doing. Because I don't actually think Stokes had like a role. I think it's like a free role. Tonev's doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking none of them got a clue what they're doing. I'm severely worried that this guy is totally way at his depth. And I'm not wanting to be one of the jeering brigade. They're half time yesterday. Celtic are booed off the park with about half the crowd. When did that ever happen?
Yeah.
I can't ever remember Celtic teams getting booed off the park at half time. That's happened twice now.
Yeah. Edo in the chat room is saying, give the guy time, stop the negativity. It's not. I think it's negativity. It's just us being a wee bit baffled, going like, well, what are we looking at here, Ronnie? What is it we're actually looking at here? Give us some sort of blueprint, like, you know what I mean, that we can kind of go, oh, I can kind of see where you're going there.
Right, that's what I'm looking. See, a bit of direction. Say, well, he's trying to achieve this, he's trying to achieve that. As Paul says, we are playing teams in Scotland and we're trying to nullify them. Yeah. Celtic should be playing three up front to him to Motherwell.
We're allowed to, talk about negativity. We're playing in a league that's utterly fucking dross. That anybody who remotely looks like a good football player are off. They're away. Gold, Robertson, MacArthur, everybody, boom, they're away. We're allowed to spend we can spend 32 million quid on players to compete in this league, and we're competing against teams that have got £5-6 million pounds to spend. And as you say, and we're going out thinking, how do we stop them playing? That's no negativity. It's constructive criticism based on the fact of what we're watching. And people can think we're negative. As Jason just said, the fucking team's booed off the park on Saturday at half time. Yeah. The fans aren't daft.
You think with a team like Motherwell coming, you kind of expected I expect like a tough game, like two teams going out for it, out for the win.
Yeah.
And it just didn't look like that. It didn't pan out like that. And
Joe, Kate's going to call in
now.
She's going to call in just now.
All right, sweet. So, did you give her the number? Yeah, you have the number?
I gave her the number,
right. She'll be calling in that in a few seconds, hopefully. Yeah, but, yesterday was just bad. And Hearts on Wednesday. Obviously, we'll get to that after Kate. But, yeah, I feel like we're all in limbo. We're all in this sort of like confidence limbo, going like, yeah, you really want to see something. You're hoping that you're going to see the flicker and go like, that's it. That's what he's trying to do. But none of us seem to see that. Now, whether we're completely, football ignorant, just don't know what he's talking about, or don't know what he's trying to do, or whatever. But I always think as Celtic fans, we know what we want to see, and we know what kind of works in Scotland, and we know what needs to be done, and we know the opposition we're up against. And not that it's an easy job, But I mean, it doesn't take much to figure it out, I wouldn't say, especially when you have, the right sort of resources, like players and some cash.